Hi, it's Sharon Lipinski, the Habit Superhero, and welcome to the Habit Huddle, where I share a quick tip, an insight, or a strategy that you can use to master your habits. Because the only thing that is standing between you and the life you want are the good habits you wish you had and the bad habits you wish you didn't. In this episode, we're talking about the 5 different types of habit triggers. So, if a habit is something that occurs unconsciously, well, then how do you know that it's time to do it? Well, you've been triggered. Something has told you it's time to behave in a certain way. And the easiest place to see this is in your morning, because your morning routine is just one series of habits, each one triggering the next. Your alarm clock is a trigger that says it's time to do something. And when you get out of bed, that's the trigger for the next habit. Go brush your teeth, which is the trigger for the next habit. Get in the shower, right? Each habit is triggering the next. And while the big picture routines are probably pretty obvious to you, you have habits within habits within habits that are so ingrained you hardly even notice them. Walking into the bathroom is the trigger for turning on the light switch. And you know this because if you have a power failure and you walk into the bathroom, don't you still try and turn on the light switch? So let's talk about all the different ways in which you are being triggered to launch into habitual behavior. Some habits are triggered by emotional states, and the habit, the action itself, is a way to distract from or release the pressure from that emotion. Now, the easiest place to see this is in stress, because when people are under stress, they behave in certain ways. Now, for some people, that means they want to have a smoke, they want to go have a drink, but for other people, they want to go for a run. Same emotion, same trigger, but it ends up being a different habit. Some habits are triggered by physical sensations, and this is especially true with addictions, where there's actual biochemical reactions going on in the body. But it's also triggered by things like, well, here's a bad habit that I have. I will constantly take my fingers and run them through my hair to shake out loose pieces of hair. In fact, look, you probably can't see it, but there's one right there. And it's triggered because I feel like a little tickling sensation on my neck. It feels like I've got loose hair there. And my husband hates this habit because he always finds my hair all over the place. And some habits are triggered by places. We have whole sets of habits just for particular environments. We already talked about the bathroom being the trigger for turning on a light switch, but what about your coffee shop? Because when you walk into your favorite coffee shop, you probably already know what you want to order, where you want to sit, right? You have a whole set of habits just for the coffee shop. Or take, for example, your car. This could be an environment where you snack in or smoke in or you yell at other people from. There are all kinds of environmental triggers. And some habits are triggered by people. You have the friend you always drink too much with, the coworker you always gossip with, and then of course there's our family members. There are powerful triggers, both for good and for bad. And if you want to watch triggers and actions, just spend some time watching what people are doing during Thanksgiving dinner. And some habits are triggered by events or by times of day. For example, during lunch you might take a walk, or you always hit the same fast food restaurant. After work, you might have a drink. After your phone makes a beeping noise, you might check your text messages. So let's take smoking for example, because this is an easy one to see in action. Smoking can be triggered by a physical sensation, right? Because there's an actual chemical process going on in the body saying, hey, I'm running low on nicotine, I need you to go have a cigarette. It can be triggered by emotions. So for some people, if they're feeling anxious or stressed or bored, they want to go have a cigarette. It can be triggered by people, especially in this day and age when so many fewer people smoke. When people who smoke are with other people who smoke, well, there's a good chance that they're going to smoke. It can be triggered by a place. So being in the car can be the trigger for pushing in the cigarette lighter and lighting up. It can be triggered by an event. So after a meal is the trigger for now it's time to have a cigarette. A habit can be triggered by any one of these triggers, or it can be triggered by all of them at the same time. Thanks for joining me for the Habit Huddle. If you enjoyed the episode, click thumbs up. And if you want more tips and advice on mastering your habits, click subscribe. Leave me your questions, your comments, and I will answer them in a future episode.